Hi everyone, welcome to week 4. In week 4, you're going to be reading chapters 7 and 8, and we're going to be participating in discussion board number 3. For this week, I have the overview right here of what you're supposed to be completing. I have the PowerPoint slides of chapters 7 and 8. I have a lot of good videos right here and content to really help you with your analysis. And I think you'll really like those videos because I think they'll be able to connect some concepts that you might struggle with. Also have a lecture right here on tariffs and under the perfect competition model. Just saw that error. We have some different websites right here on external economies of scale. We have another website on anti-dumping policies, and we have another website on long-run cost. But for discussion board number 3, let's focus on the requirements. For this week, we're going to be looking at types of market structures, perfect competition or monopolistic competition. Now, monopolistic competition is not a monopoly, and that's where a lot of people get confused. Monopolistic competition is looking at many buyers, many sellers selling very similar products, but they're slightly differentiated. And given that the products are slightly differentiated, I can charge a different price. So that's the key component when you look at monopolistic competition. What you're going to be looking at is the role of cost and benefits in this market, and how does cost and benefits influence the market and what occurs in the market. So that's very important. So when you look at your answer and when you look at your support, you want to look at the role of trading. And where would you rather operate? Would you rather operate under the perfect competition model or monopolistically competitive market? And explain the cost and benefits associated with each. For this week, we're going to look at chapter 7. And we're going to be looking at a couple different things I want to go over. The first one is increasing returns or economies of scale. This is when a firm that gets larger and larger is able to produce at lower and lower cost. Another example would be a firm that is using more and more of its space. And when it's using more and more of its space, it's able to produce at lower and lower cost. And economies of scale are very important and a very advantageous place for a firm to operate in. When you look at, for example, an industry that produces, let's say, just widgets, and you're only using one input, and that's labor. So labor is always going to be that variable cost that's associated. You'll notice that certain countries have a lot of challenges when we look at labor, and they're not going to be faced with as many challenges like the U.S. with higher labor cost. So now, when we look at international trade, we want to figure out how a country can take advantage of economies of scale, produce more efficiently, rather than producing everything for itself. So how do you take advantage in a market with these economies of scale? And economies of scale really depends on the size of the firm and how much the firm is producing, whereas internal economies of scale are going to be looking at the cost per unit, and it really depends on the size of the firm instead of the size of the industry. Now in chapter 8, we're going to be dealing with some other things, and this is going to be dealing with the different types of market structures we're going to be focused on. So when we look at this week, we're going to be looking at internal and external economies of scale that we just focused on, and the two different market structures, perfect competition and monopolistic competition. Perfect competition is a market structure where there are many buyers and sellers selling identical products. And when they sell identical products, it's very hard for them to differentiate between the two. And that's very important. So these are some different market structures. But you'll notice that perfect competition, it's hard to differentiate what you're selling, given that the product's identical. Given that the product's identical, I can't differentiate my product. I'm going to charge the same price as the industry. The product differentiation is the key component to this market. When products are different, I can charge a different price. Now with monopolistic competition, we're looking at a market that has many buyers, many sellers, but the products that they sell are slightly different. Now, given that the products are slightly different, they can charge a different price, and that's the key component with monopolistic competition. Able to differentiate their product through advertising and marketing. So for this week, make sure to focus on the role of those market structures in your analysis and incorporate that into your answer. But I look forward to your effort this week, and I wish you the best.